Thank you everybody for joining us for our webinar, Retail, Helping You Put AI in Retail, presented by TTEC and Microsoft. Our agenda today, we are going to do a quick introduction on TTEC Digital and who we are, assuming you have a pretty good understanding of who Microsoft is. We will then go into some retail industry trends. From there, go into AI's role in delivering exceptional customer experience. And then we're going to wrap with going into a real-world case study. Your presenters today are myself, Cliff McCartney, Vice President of Digital Sales at TTEC Digital, Aaron Schroeder, Director of AI and Analytics Solution at TTEC Digital, and Doug Adams, special guest, from General Manager from Business Applications in the Retail and Consumer Goods space with Microsoft. So a little bit about TTEC Digital and who we are. TTEC Digital is a leading global customer experience consulting and technology services firm. We offer experience consulting, software, and technology services at the intersection of contact center, CRM, and AI and analytics tools. We refer to this as the point of conversation, and that intersection is represented by a speech bubble that you see at the center of our badge here on the screen. We do this to create shareholder value for our clients through revenue growth, cost reduction, and productivity improvement. To go one level deeper, TTEC Digital has best-in-class Microsoft capabilities that's been recognized in many ways, from being a multi-time winner of Microsoft's Global Partner of the Year in Dynamics 365, to being recognized as an inner circle partner for both business applications and AI. Now, our deep expertise in AI and analytics helps our clients personalize the customer journey, augment agent productivity, increase revenue, and improve operating efficiencies. We have helped deliver on many global initiatives across multiple industries with a very strong presence in the retail and consumer goods industry, with a few examples here on the bottom right of the screen. So now I'd like to hand it off to Doug Adams, General Manager of Business Applications in Microsoft's Retail and Consumer Goods business. And he's here to share a little bit more on today's retail challenges and top priorities. Doug, over to you.
Thanks, Cliff. Always a pleasure and great to see you, and thank you all for joining today. Retail and consumer goods are facing, unprecedented challenges. We thought our challenges were over when COVID, quote unquote, disappeared, but really it's never been true. Our customers and you all are facing new challenges. So how do you grow top line acquisition, top line revenue? In an era today coming out of post-COVID, we had the option to go to multiple places. Oftentimes, our choice to go to individual locations was based off of inventory. And when inventory is there, awesome, we're having a great time. But to grow that top line revenue today, what we're seeing is that you have to drive a better loyalty strategy and really think about how you can utilize AI to understand and personalize each and every one of those messages. How do you drive cohorts back into the store? How do you use things like omnichannel to understand who the customers are and where they are? So it's really taking this concept of understanding our data and maximizing it, turning it into revenue. And as we understand that revenue, how do we meet customers where they are to change their own shopper's journey? The more people that are driving through omnichannel, we're seeing an increase in revenue across that journey itself. And then, of course, things go wrong in retail, things go wrong in consumer goods. How are we thinking about that from a talent acquisition and retention perspective? If we're not thinking about our employee experience, we're also leaving out the customer experience. So fundamentally, what we're seeing is a number of challenges. It's around driving loyalty. It's around driving top line revenue through the use of AI, but also through the use of some of the traditional stories that we're seeing in the marketplace. It's about understanding the data, transforming that customer experience, using that customer experience around where customers are, where they're going, how they're getting there, to really transform, again, the supply chain side of things. So if we know where customers are interested in, we know the products that they're interested in, we know to make sure that they're on hand, we know how to understand what might be impacted by a storm. How do we redirect inventory? How do we see that inventory is low in one area but high in another? All pulling together a single pane of glass to really help us understand that overall experience. And then as we're doing that, we think about that talent and acquisition piece. Our employees, we're seeing absolutely have seasonality into what they do and where they go and how they do it. but how do we maintain that steady guidance throughout the process? Oftentimes, and you'll hear through the case study today, it's about how do we get them from onboarding to the floor faster? How do we help understand what those barriers are in that hiring process? More often than not, it's an internal barrier that we face, which is our own calendar. How do we find the time to meet with those prospective employees? And so what you'll hear today is an area that we've been able to dive in together with TTEC to really help transform that process. And that's not all, right? When we think about the numbers behind these stories, it's about a $660 billion productivity gain for organizations that are using AI in this space. And that comes from understanding who your customers are, where they're going, but also traditional use of AI to understand what supply chain data might be out there, but also thinking about productivity of creating presentations, creating stories back to the from a consumer goods into a retailer, or from a retailer going back to the consumer goods organization to share what trends they're seeing from a numbers perspective. And then, very specifically, we're seeing about a 2.5 times profit increase for over organizations that aren't using AI today. And the number that I found here from IDC was really fascinating. $3.45 return for every dollar spent on AI. And that it could be across your hiring practices. It could be across your lead gen and marketing campaigns. It could be a loyalty offering that you're using to be able to transform and understand who might be buying via credit card, but not a loyalty member. How do you drive loyalty? And as you drive loyalty, you get increased benefits back out. And then really thinking about how I can drive productivity in my day-to-day, as simple as responding to emails faster and understanding what new products might be on the floor. And so we're also seeing AI come into space around the employee experience relative to things like, what do I do? How do I ask an agent or a bot, a spill in aisle 4, a light bulb is out, there's a hurricane coming, what does that procedure look like? Point of sale is down. All of those things can be utilized through bots and agents to help answer those questions faster, resulting in a time savings and greater productivity. And so all of those things kind of lead to ourselves to be thinking about how are we helping organizations truly maximize the value of the data, build an intelligent, real-time, sustainable supply chain. How do we change that shopper journey, and how do we transform that customer and really that employee experience? And so, Cliff, those are some of the things that we're seeing in the market today, and I just appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. Really appreciate your insight into the industry there. Now over to Aaron.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so to build a bridge here between what Doug's talking about and some more of what we have to share, we're entering this new era of personalization, as we call it. So historically, there was always this notion that you had a message, you wanted it to be received by your customers, and they were going to follow your process. That was it. That's what you had, and we needed to continue to differentiate. And so this evolved into the customer's context and your process. So while it's still the steps you deployed and had to take in a very serial, sequence, deliberate sort of manner, you could fold in more about what you knew or how someone had interacted with you in the past to be able to start to add some personalization. But really now we've entered this final state of their context, their journey. So the serial static processes of old are no longer the case, and that really, as Doug highlighted, represents the immense opportunity here with AI in this new age. And so when you incorporate what you know about your customers and how they want to be interacted with and allow them to guide it, you're reducing the effort they have to take. You're reducing the friction that they're really going through in engaging with you, ultimately leading to all sorts of better end states, deeper loyalty, stronger engagement, all of that. And we'll talk more about what that means. So here's what that looks like inside of customer insights journeys, for example. So when we say contextualizing and having these sorts of dynamic journeys, I just wanted to show real briefly what this looks like, in an example loyalty journey, and the sorts of inflection points and decisions that can be made or triggered that allow you to drive this sort of engagement and personalization with the individuals that you're looking to strengthen that loyalty with. So what that means is driving better customer experiences at every stage of the journey. So you're generating more demand, you're closing more sales, your engagement is superior, your service goes from an oh no and an angry customer to something that really you can meet them where they are, you can display better empathy and engage with them in the right way at the time where they're having a difficult moment, and strengthen the loyalty in the end ultimately. And we've got a handful of stats here along the bottom that illustrate what can be done in leveraging AI and analytics to drive this kind of personalization and improve every step along this journey, whether that is improving incremental sales, expanding your targetable universe, or even just improving customer response rates to things. You know, that better engagement leads to better lifetime value and better loyalty. And really, when we describe this as a journey, it's more of a flywheel. So what I've got here to share is the flywheel of CX insights in action, where you start with the data you have and perform a detailed analysis on that. Learn what you can learn to the best of your ability about all of your customers and everything you have available to you. Be able to move into a phase where you categorize and prioritize these. This is brainstorming. This is soliciting feedback from the front lines, but also where you're strategically looking to head to then execute actions, whether that is employee retraining, whether that's new types of journeys or new types of offers, or even product feedback loops, because you get real-time results from all of that then feeds back in again. And so the entry point can be anywhere here. The real takeaway is to start now and to be deliberate about it. This flywheel is really important because, again, it continually adds value. And so what this looks like, we've got some example Power BI dashboards we've built off of some of our data sets here to just show you that visual analytics is a great component of this, and how you're able to start with that detailed analysis and insights, be able to understand the kinds of hidden representations and meaning in that data to then turn it into action. And again, the flywheel keeps running. So bringing this to life a little bit here in a couple example methods. So, you know, I've talked a lot about engagement and what that means and what that brings. Engagement optimization can take a few different forms. And so whether that's reach and response modeling, do you understand what the potential drivers of engagement are and the likelihood of someone to respond or respond well or respond in a certain method is very important. Lead prioritization. Do you know who to reach out to? We hear this a lot from our customers. Is a lot of times it's a time constraint. It's I've got a pool of thousands of people to call and I've only got so many people. How do I optimize that? And so being able to rank that, know, through the analysis of all of your data, who to reach out to when, what is the smarter ordering of all of that can significantly increase the results you're getting from some of those outbound campaigns. And finally, channel preference optimization as well, knowing where your customers want to meet you and then proactively meeting them on that channel. And that can sound really intimidating or sound really difficult to folks, but what I put on the side here is an example of the no-code setup for doing this inside of customer insights journeys. So in this example, it's sending a discount coupon, and you can see, well, what we're looking to do is complete that purchase, and you can see it in there, the email, text, push notification. There's a lot of different ways you can meet someone, and sometimes it's multiple. And so being able to set that up and drive that through in a personalized way, but still in a consistent journey with a meaningful goal that you have, which is completing the purchase, really brings that together again in a more accessible manner than ever before. Now, the next one is loyalty refresh. So a lot of our customers, a lot of folks we talk with are undergoing new loyalty programs or looking to better restructure and emphasize their existing loyalty programs. So loyalty, we have to remember, is an outcome. It's not necessarily an end metric you drive. And so being able to understand who to target for enrollment, who should you be going after with that, you've got to look at that universe of potential and then be able to identify who to go after and what it means to acquire individuals into a loyalty program, but then the drivers of it as well. So when we say loyalty is an outcome, it really can be deconstructed into a few different elements. And the more you understand about what leads to a lifetime of loyalty, allows you to better target specific initiatives and optimize your resource spend and coach your frontline employees and put the right information in their hands to make that possible. And finally, rewards optimization as well. Are you offering the best thing to the right person at the right time? You don't want to sacrifice more margin than you have to when sending coupons out there. If 10% will do the trick, you don't have to send 25%, but still knowing what is going to move the needle for them and making sure that they feel understood and valued through that communication and through any of your journeys. So on the far right here, again, another no-code built-in AI model for customer insights data that helps show what leads to customer lifetime value over a certain time horizon. What percentage of customers fall into different groups, and then what were the influential factors on that? And so, again, the back to the flywheel notion here, you're starting with a detailed analysis and understanding, putting that into action, and then continuing that right back around for superior ongoing value. So at this point, I think, Cliff, I'll hand it over to you to talk about how some of these things really became real.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Aaron. And again, thank you, Doug, as well for your insights. Now I get to talk about making it real, right? Making it real in retail. So this is a real world example of how we helped automate a hiring process for one of our clients. So like any good superhero, our application and our story here has an origin story. So we had a top 5 national coffee company. They came to us with a problem. So they had a great culture. Whenever they would interview candidates, the candidates would see that. It's very apparent. When offered a job, the candidates would often accept that job. However, there was a big problem. They were missing out on candidates because it was taking them too long to get a job applicant scheduled for an interview. By the time that their interview was scheduled, it was likely that the applicant might be on their 3rd or 4th interview somewhere else, or they might have already been hired somewhere else. So we were the quote that we were given was, "Hey, we would love to find a way to reduce the time from application submission to the interview being scheduled from days to hours, with 1 hour being the dream." So we developed an application. It's built on Microsoft's Power Platform to deliver an experience that was not only going to meet the organization's needs, but then also deliver an exceptional experience for the general manager and for the candidate. So to give you an example of what that looked like, the application itself could live on any device, right? We understand that general managers don't want to be sitting in a back office in front of a computer all day, right? They want to be out with their customers. They want to be out on the floors with their team. So it needs to be able to be on mobile devices, on cell phones, on tablets, but still can be accessed in the back office if they do prefer to do that from time to time. So this is what the manager interview scheduler looks like, right? The general manager can go in, they could set their availability based on what store location they were at, based on date and time, have a quick glance of what their availability looks like, again, based on dates, locations, and time. And then lastly, have a really quick view to see what are their scheduled interviews they have coming up for today, for the rest of the week. So they have not only a better understanding of who is coming in and the candidates being interviewed, but then also what's the position, how can you contact them if you need to reach them for any reason. Also can be linked out to the resume, so you can, again, have a quick access to that right before the candidate does come in for the interview. But we also understand, like most people working today, we still heavily rely on email. So we're going to send, once the interview is scheduled, the general manager gets a notification that an interview has been scheduled. Also can get updates and reminders before the actual interview is to take place, because we've heard horror stories in the world where sometimes a general manager might have gotten too busy and forgot that there was an interview that day, and that's not a great experience for the candidate showing up. This is what the candidate experience looks like, right? We want to meet them where they are. So what the candidate does is, when they were on the website, submitted their application, that application then goes up against the HRIS system for the organization we were working with. In this case, it was Workday. As soon as it gets entered into the system, a text message is sent to the candidate, right? Because we're assuming that they have their cell phone on them at all times. And it's thanking them for your application. And when you're ready to, you might not be ready right now, but when you're ready to start your interview scheduling process, please let us know. They let them know they're ready. And in this case, we ask a couple of qualifying questions. First question is, are you able to work weekends? Yes or no? And then the second question is, what's your favorite coffee drink? Because what a great experience it would be as the candidate to show up for your interview and they have a mocha sitting for you, ready to go. So while you not only asked me that question, but you actually heard me and you presented that to me, it shows me how much you not only care about your potential employees, but then also your customers, because at the end of the day, they're still probably going to be a customer of the place they're applying. Then they get the question, hey, when would you like to schedule your interview? Anytime after tomorrow. So you could say Monday, you could say Monday, you could say September 30th. You could put, any format. It will be able to recognize that and then give you the options that are available on the that the general manager has input into the scheduling tool for that day. Once the candidate schedules that, candidate is confirmed, hey, you have an interview scheduled with this person at this location at this time. But if you need to cancel for any reason or reschedule, please do so by using R to reschedule, X to cancel. And then as mentioned, same thing with the general manager for the candidate experience, also can send out push notifications for reminders. Hey, tomorrow is your interview at 9 a.m. Please don't forget. So going back to the coffee executive's dream, did we deliver on what remember, going from days to hours, with 1 hour being that dream? So we can confidently say that we were able to exceed his wildest dreams. So on average, an interview was scheduled in a little bit more than 8 minutes from the candidate submitting their application. And then we found that the applicant actually accepted an offer on average within 3 days. However, we can't guarantee, so we can guarantee the faster scheduling process, but we can't guarantee a job offer because the candidate still has to do some of the work themselves. So these factors resulted together that would help greatly increase the chances of you being able to hire the right candidate and not miss out on the right candidate due to scheduling delays. This concludes our webinar for today. If you'd like to learn more about TTEC Digital and the great work we've been doing with Microsoft and AI space, you can follow the link on the left of the screen. Or to schedule a 30-minute call to learn more, you can reach out to me directly with my email address here on the right of the screen. Thank you so much again for your time. We look forward to helping you provide exceptional experiences for your customers and employees. Thank you.